Hey guys, Blastlad here, and I'm just here for basically the second kind of devlog update video for my current project, Midsummer Night Fight, which is kind of a prototype combat system that I've been working on throughout the month. And we are basically on track to finish up the prototype by October 31st, which is a nice, fun, spooky day to finish off on. And yeah, so this is the second update video for it. I just kind of want to quickly talk about what was in the previous video, and then we'll talk about what's new. So let's just kind of jump straight into it, nice and quickly. So first off, what we had access to before was the player's ability to move, which drains that time bar up there. When that time bar reaches 0, the current turn is over and it progresses to the next turn. That's what the intention was. Now it actually does do that, but in the previous update video, still kind of working on that. We also have the ability to, of course, move around the camera. We have the ability to lock onto enemy characters and change targets using the LB and RB buttons. And then we also, of course, had the ability to pull up the battle menu, which basically pulls up a traditional RPG's command window. And we have access to magic, skill, items, and the ability to end turn. We can go back, we can close it. But the one thing that's really interesting about it is that while it's open, time is basically stopped. I can't move around anymore like this. And if any enemy was trying to do a move or anything like that, time is effectively stopped. Actually, I'll kind of show it off here. I'm locked onto this right here, and I use the magic move Aura Blast. The player character will now actually change color to show that it's kind of channeling the move, or it's got that little bit of charge time. So I use this here, and then I pause again. That is never going to go off as long as this menu is brought up, because time is effectively stopped. I can still move around this, and that's kind of where we were before. The other last part of it, of course, was that we had access to the magic move, which I will unpause here, and it's called Aura Blast. Show that off, and it hits. It does knockback, knocks it back over there, and yeah. Now the one thing that's really interesting, of course, about these battle menu is that it's run by a battle manager class, which essentially reads in, or it gets whatever the current active player character is. In this case, it's this blue cylinder here. And then it reads what the magic moves are attached to that blue cylinder. So theoretically, if this was a different player character, let's say it was a red cylinder, and it had a move called Fireball attached, instead of that move reading Aura Blast, it would read Fireball. And then that's what would be activated as opposed to Aura Blast. So it's a very flexible system that works with the battle manager and the game manager, kind of figure out what should be displayed and what should be activated when a move happens. And yeah, that's kind of where we were before. So let's talk about what's new. First off, the big thing is that we have access to the player's basic attacks, which are, attacks that don't need the battle manager. And it's basically a 3-hit combo. So I'm going to lock on here. I'm going to do the first hit. Nice light punch. Basically it's a light, medium, and then heavy attack. So, and it does reset if you don't attack in time, almost like a regular combo system. So think of it like this. I do an attack, and if I choose to wait enough time before the hit stun wears off and the combo ends, then it will reset back. So the next time I activate it, it will still be a hit 1. But if I hit, and then I continue the combo, we'll do step 2 and step 3. Progressively going up, so it truly is a regular, true combo system. So if I do hit 1, 2 here, that's the light and the medium attack, and if I do 1, 2, 3, we get a really nice, final hit that sends the enemy flying. It's supposed to kind of be a very knockback based, final heavy attack that's supposed to kind of add to that rowdy, punchy feeling that we're going for. So let me just do that one more time. 1, 2, 3. Let's kind of break down what's going on. So first off, we have this new combo UI, which shows your current amount of hits in a combo, which is once again based off an enemy's hit stun. Not just a single enemy, all enemies. So if there are 3 enemies on the screen, as long as I'm continuously hitting at least one of them, that combo will go up. When I'm not, that will eventually reset back down to 0. And this is a big thing with the rush system, which is a system that will be implemented in the final version of the project, or in the final version of the prototype even, in a different scene just to kind of show it off. And once again, I paused the battle menu up here just to kind of once again show off that time is indeed stopped. The guy is floating, and the combo meter in this case will never go down. And yeah. So the thing that this is really supposed to do is it's supposed to allow the player to think about their next move so they can continue that combo. It's supposed to be very methodical and and thought out while still being rowdy and punchy. So I just did a really big knockback attack, and now I get to think about what I want to do next. Obviously, I really only have 2 moves here, so my options are a little limited, but it's kind of the same idea. Is that I want to use Aura Blast here, so I'm going to lock on. And actually, I'll just quickly pause and then unpause. You see that it does indeed continue for a second. But I want to use Aura Blast, so I'm going to lock on, I'm going to use that magic move, and we're going to hit. So it allows you to kind of continue what you want to do. And I actually do have the enemies crashing into the walls. I think a fun mechanic might be to kind of have them bounce off to allow you to continue a combo, maybe deal a little damage, things like that. But it's almost supposed to emulate that battle menu being pulled up. Think about like in a movie or anime or manga when the characters like basically pause time, or they like monologue what they want to do next, and there's no real repercussions because they're just kind of working it out and then they do it. That's exactly what it's supposed to be like. It allows you to kind of think about what you want to do next, and a really turn-based and in a combination of a turn-based RPG and an action RPG. So it allows for a really interesting system. So that's all the new player stuff. Oh, of course, one last thing is that you don't need to be locked on to the enemy in order to execute that basic attack. In the case where you aren't locked on, as long as you are within range, there is a range to it, of course, it is a melee attack, it will execute and it will attack the closest enemy to the player. So you'll automatically face and deal that damage. So we see that there. So that's just another way to kind of make it a little bit more fast-paced. That way you don't have to be locked on. But in the case where you are, it does attack that enemy. So let's end off my turn here to just kind of show off the trading of turns, which is based on the characters in the battle's speed stat. So being as there's only 2 here, and I'm the fastest character, the next one to activate will indeed be that enemy. And then eventually we'll trade on and off and on and off. We just need to set that up. So right now, the enemy really only has movement and its basic attack. Enemies function differently than the players. Basically, the way that the enemies work is that they move, or they determine which magic move they want to do. So instead of having basic attacks, all the skills that an enemy has access to is attached onto them. And then when it determines which move to use, it determines if it's in range, if it has targets, things like that. And then if it doesn't have all the options that it has access to, or if it, for example, like in the case of this enemy's attack, it has to be in melee range. If it's not in melee range, it's going to start moving to their target in order to deal that, to execute that move. So once again, it's a very flexible system. It kind of allows the movement to be independent of any other, system, and the enemy will only move if it has to. If it doesn't really have to move and it can execute its move fine, it will just do that. So once again, a very flexible system. So let me end off the turn here. I'll quickly pause and we'll show what's going on. So as you can see, the enemy has started moving to my position because I am the one with the highest aggro, because I'm the only one on the screen. And it's already decided what move it wants to use. It wants to use its basic slash attack. It's called slash duology. That's the move that it wants to use. The problem is I was not in range. So it's moving towards me in order to execute that move. And this all uses time points, just like it does with the player. So that bar is going to start getting drained. And in the case where it won't have enough to get to me, it just eventually we're just gonna have it like, you know, move away from the player or use a different move in the form of a counter. We also have this UI put up here. It doesn't do anything yet, but it eventually will. This is the player's defensive options. Ooh, we're starting to get pretty high up in time. I better end this off quick. Basically, the guard button is going to make it so that you take less damage and take less knockback for a few seconds, and then it has a, you know, a relatively long recharge period, whereas the evade basically prevents you from taking all damage and all knockback because you're dodging out of the way for a quick second, and but it has a longer recharge, so it's very time based and it's very timing. It requires on you realizing what the enemy's going to do. Those two things that say none, they're basically supposed to be a player's counter moves, as I'm calling them. You will assign them during your player turn, and then during the enemy turn, you have the ability to use them. They're almost like trap cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something like that, where you assign them before you want to use them, and then when you can use them as defensive options or actual like counter offensive options during the player's turn. So if I unpause here, the enemy will use a move on me. It will quickly flash red in order to kind of show off the fact that they're about to use a move. Once again, that's meant to kind of tie in with these guard and evade options once we get to that point. And then right now, the enemy will start moving towards me again to use that same move. And yeah, that's really about it. A little longer than I wanted to go on for, I will admit, but that's kind of the next stage of what we're working on. Thank you very much for joining me. I will see you guys later. Bye.